Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Leading Our Own Way. I'm Andrew White, and this week we've got Dennis on the show, Dennis Espiritu. In part one, we witnessed Dennis' descent into a world most of us can't even imagine, where violence was currency, addiction was survival, and hope was a luxury he couldn't afford. We saw a man who had both wielded the knife and felt its bite, who knew the inside of jail cells as intimately as he knew the streets that nearly destroyed him. But here's what makes Dennis's story extraordinary. It doesn't end in that darkness. Today, Dennis is the driving force behind Run That Rehab, a global movement that's transforming lives through raw honesty. Community connection, that's the most important, right? That community connection and the unshakable belief that no one is beyond redemption. From rock bottom to reaching thousands, from taking lives apart to putting them back together. This is part two, the resurrection. How a man who seemed destined for destruction became a beacon of hope for those who still trapped in the shadows he once called home. How daily routines, vulnerability, and the power of connection that we discovered in part one became his weapons against the demons that once owned him. If part one showed you the depths of human despair, part two will show you the heights of human resilience. This is Dennis Espiritu's transformation, and it's nothing short of miraculous. This is Leading Our Own Way, and here's part two with Dennis. Hey, please don't forget to follow, and please give us a review. If you can, that would be amazing. It takes 10 seconds. Anyway, here's part two. Enjoy.
It got me to a level of acceptance of consequences. You know, well, I go to juvie for a little bit of trafficking, whatever. Get locked up again, whatever. And that's what's dangerous. When you're beating your kids, that if your initial thing is punishment, it can also be processed and taken out as something else. They'll take away something else from it. They might think, oh, violence is currency. This is how you express your emotions. This is the way you get shit done. This is how you get people to respect you. You can create a whole different beast. And I guess mental health wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
You
had to suck it up, didn't you, I suppose?
Yeah.
What would you have to do to warrant the lashes or the beat, the strap?
Oh, I'll tell you, once that was, maybe you'd think is absurd. I remember one day, I was playing baseball at the front with the neighbours, right? Those little telecom poles? They're like little hubs. Sometimes you see on the nature strip. Anyway.
Are they still there?
Yeah, they're still there.
Okay.
So would stand in front of that with a baseball bat or a cricket bat or something, and someone would pitch it or whatever. And we're just playing, just in the street, as you did in the 80s and 90s. And then I remember my old man yelling at me, saying, "Get in the house," like that. I was like, fucking, what's going on here? We're all having a good time. I get to the front door, he's got his belt out, and I'm talking with the buckle side, buckle side. And he just fucking, bang, across the face, body. And you know why? Because we had a cat, right? And I used to love Savoy biscuits and pate, so I'd go get the Savoy biscuits, spread pate on it. I remember I was making some in the lounge room, and I had them on a plate. Meanwhile, the neighbours knock on the door and go, "Hey, come out and play baseball." I go, "Yeah, all right, sweet." I'm out there playing. The cat came along and licked the biscuits. That's what warranted it. And that's the scale of, things.
So did this translate then to, this is happening at home, did this translate to like school? Like how did you conduct yourself at school? Was you well behaved at school because you were getting it at home, or was that a safe space for you to lash out?
It was a safe space for me to lash out.
I thought it would be. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I remember going to school and it was full blown racism back then.
Yeah.
I got called all the names, all of them. I remember in high school, you still had to, when you go to a class at a period, you would have to line up in, at the front door or whatever. Mate, I'll be punching over there because someone will be making a remark. It became the currency, and this is the thing, because of the way I grew up. I started to utilize that violence, as in, when it comes to bullies, right? Because of what I experienced at home, I'd get bullied, and then I'd punch on, you know, in class, down the hallways, um, on the basketball court, whatever, wherever. But that also fucking saved me as well, in a sense, and I'm being honest, because I would fight, I would stand up for myself, opposed to someone that didn't fight. Their self-worth would drop.
Yeah.
When I have to go to another class and I have to walk past certain lockers or whatever, my thought wasn't, I hope these guys aren't there. I got that anxiety. They're going to bully me. It's like, fuck, here we go again, mate.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, I'm not going to buckle because I haven't got anyone to save me either.
Yeah.
So in a sense, because I did learn to fight, it saved me from that trauma and abuse in the schoolyard that I've seen affect other people, when they leave the schoolyard or it happens in the workplace.
Yeah.
So I was fortunate in that aspect, but that also got me detached from my emotions. And it also gave me a sense of, how do you say it? No value on another person's welfare, so to speak. And that's only through looking back. In the moment, I was just a young teen. But when we're talking about how it stems from childhood, there's a lot of things that stem from childhood that you would not realize the impact it has.
Mm. Yeah, I never looked at it from that point before. Like in terms of what you said about low self-worth if you don't fight, because as a teacher we have to be professional, don't we? We say, no, if anyone's coming for you, you come back and you tell us and we'll deal with it. Don't put it into your own hands. That's my professional approach. But now I think if I'm ever dissecting behavior and having those professional discussions, we have to put in mind that it's a cost of that individual's self-worth if they don't fight back. My son was just attacked by 6 boys 3 weeks ago, and I learned something about our parenting within this process and this time. He knew it was going to happen, but he kind of let it go and didn't think it, and then he walked out and it did happen, and he has dealt with it so well. I'm so proud of him, but it's also reassured us that the times we have been hard on him, we don't do what happened to you, but we allow him to struggle in a safe way. We don't give him answers. We allow him to figure things out. We build his resilience. And in this moment, it's paid off because he's dealt with it so well. Yes, he did throw up in the morning here and there, and he was going to the toilet, not meaning to embarrass him on air, but he'd go to the toilet, nervous and things like that. But that was his body just speaking to him. He's going to the jungle, the tiger's going to be there, sort of thing. But he's dealt with it so well. I'm so proud of him. And he didn't fight back because he was on the ground. He was attacked, but got a few punches. So I picture him in that scenario, and as a parent, it makes us feel sick that he was even in that situation, because I teach at some of the roughest schools and stop fights, but I've never seen a kid premeditated, unprovoked, get 6 people within minutes and go and jump somebody. And I can't believe it's happened to my son, especially for what I stand up for, because my trauma is workplace bullying, not in a physical sense, but more of a psychological sense. So yeah, I never looked at that low self-worth side of things, because in this scenario, his self-worth went down and theirs probably went up because they won the battle, if that makes sense. I mean, they've lost it since because they've been in trouble and suspended and going through all these welfare checks now that's going through. But yeah, that's fascinating. Now I'm going to take that forward with me. So with you then, you're living in, because you're not in Brunswick at this point. Is this Dandenong where you are at this point in time?
So I moved from, oh yeah, I've already moved to, what do you call it? We moved to Knox, and then we moved to a place called Endeavour Hills, which is a couple of suburbs away from Dandenong. And I
Right.
was going to schools, in areas around there.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it was a whole different world when I moved from, say, the Knox area to Endeavour Hills, because in the Endeavour Hills was more multicultural, so to speak, because it was next to Dandenong, but in Knox it wasn't. I used to play fight as kids, in the playground. But when I moved to Endeavour Hills, this was the first time I seen kids shape up to each other like it's a boxing match. And, that's the first time I seen like one-on-ones. This was in what, grade grade 4 or 5, you know.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Did
because
people fear you then?
as a as a young
Yeah.
kid
At school, did people fear you? Yeah.
in in primary school, I would get bullied or teased a lot. But I would always fight as well. So, and I'd fight a lot, as in they'd keep on picking on you. But so I don't know if they feared me then, but when I got to Endeavour Hills, I was always around whatever the cool kids. Um, it wasn't only until high school that's when it really started to kick off, the whole violence thing, because you know I'm not depending on the area, depending on the era, or maybe it's the same. Back then, you'd have, or go with Europeans, you had your Asians, you had your whites, and it was only until I moved to the southeast within the schools, it was really not segregated like that, but it was segregated like that. People started forming with their own nationalities, so to speak,
Yeah.
and a lot of the people in the area, had cousins, friends that would hang out in Dandenong, and that's, from being isolated, fighting amongst yourself, all of a sudden, oh, there's all these Asians that hang in Dandenong.
Mm.
And now I started going there, and like I met Asians that hang with each other. I met Islanders that hang with each other. I met, Asians and Islanders now that hang together. Now it's like, oh, these Asians and Islanders know people all the way in Springvale, in Claydon, back down to Noble. So it's all of a sudden it's like, bang, this area, this area, this area, this area,
Yeah.
and then the drugs come in at some point, in the teen's life. And when that came in, it just solidified everything. The people that went down the drug route, running around with little essays or whatnot, waving cleavers or knives, that became the culture. And the heroin at that time was the catalyst that kept everyone together, And it's like that catalyst went from, touched in high school, locked in Dandenong, and then all those people, went from chasing the drag to bang selling it to bang doing crime to these are the people I'm going to juvie with now.
Yeah.
They're the people I'm doing my next sentence of juvie with. By the time I get to the adult system, all those people are coming with me, and another sentence, they're coming with me, and say now it's a community. And then it gets to that point is this is all I know, as a young kid from 16 to 25. It literally is the saying, this is all I know, because you haven't really done anything else. Even though that's not the life, there's more to it, but as a teen, that's all you know.
So because you said this is when the violence started, everything you just painted to me was violent, but by you saying that implies comparison, it really wasn't. So how does this violence now appear? What age are we looking at when life really hanging out in Dandenong? What age were you, and how did life really change? Like, was it the heroin that came in first? Was it the carrying the knives? Let's go through that little bit, that area.
Yeah, so I guess when you're hanging around with Dandenong, and you're meeting all these people, you know, if we're given a comparison, trust, that I learned in rehab is all about being vulnerable. That's how we develop trust.
Yeah.
Sharing. Doing things together. But when you're a team from the area, any area, the way you develop trust and bond is, say, if one of us is having a punch on, you have my back. So now it's a
Yes.
group thing. It's
Yeah.
a group thing, just like what happened with your son. And to prove your loyalty in that sense, you have to jump in. You're part of this crew or not. And so then it becomes that pack mentality, hunting packs. And then what does that do? Actually, that boosts your fucking ego now, because now you getting a reputation. Now you're getting feared, all bullshit. But, as a kid, that's important, because no one really wants to be isolated by themselves getting picked on. Nah. Now you got numbers. And then that just gets bigger and bigger, in Dandenong. But there's also people from other areas with numbers too. They've gone through the same shit.
Yeah.
Then you're clashing.
Yeah.
Now you're having 20 punch-ons, 10 on 10, whatever. And then all of a sudden someone pulls out a machete, someone pulls out a cleaver, someone pulls out a trolley pole. And now it's just escalating, I remember being in punch-ons when I was in Dandenong. It's like one of the boys, there's a place called GT. It was called Golden Triangle, a pool place in Dandenong. And they had an alleyway across the road. And a few of the Dandy boys were there having a punch, one-on-one with another crew from another area. One-on-one, punching on, blah, blah, blah. And the one from Dandenong got it over the other bloke. But it just happened to be that's where all that crew was standing, and they all just jumped and mauled him. And then, bang, got the call, because we were young, we're all still hanging around Dandenong, maybe in different houses or whatever. Hey, there's going to be a punch on at the station. So, bang. Now it's like, we'll go with 10 on 10. 10 on 10, punching on the top part of Dandenong stations, following all the way down to the main road, and we're just punching on non-stop. Weapons getting pulled and whatnot, people getting hurt. And yeah, one at that day, giving a mouthful as they're running off. But this is how quick the violence happens. My friends were in a garage, I think maybe a week or 2 weeks later, sitting in the garage, smoking their marijuana or doing heroin or whatever. And then boom, 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 boom. Through the window, you see them running past with machetes. Bang, 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 bang. Bang. Through the front door. And yeah. And then whatever happened there. And it's just like, these are exactly the same shit that kids these days are going through. But what does it come down to? It comes down to a sense of belonging. If we deep dive into sense of belonging, being part of, having their own community, we'll go with brotherhood,
Identity.
all of that bullshit.
Yeah.
Pack mentality, feeling safe, ego, reputation. Things that mean the world to a young kid, but they mean shit when you're older.
Yeah.
And yeah.
You mentioned trafficking earlier. What was your journey with trafficking then?
Oh, trafficking. That goes hand in hand when you're from an area. Selling marijuana at the start, because that was the catalyst in itself.
Yeah.
Just like, having a cigarette at the back of the oval, come for a smoke. Fuck, I don't smoke. But fuck, I'll come. And fuck, I'll have a toke as well.
Yeah.
bang. By the time that comes, hey, you want to have a bong? I fucking don't smoke marijuana, but everyone else is. I'll fucking do it too. Bang. People pleaser, wants to feel part of. So bang, I'm on the bongs, but then it becomes, growing in an area and in that lifestyle, it's obviously older brothers are moving it, we want to move it too. We want, we were sold that fairy tale. We watch movies. We want to be like that. So bang, you start selling marijuana all day, every day, and then it's like someone comes along and with some heroin, because heroin's just start making its move in the 90s. I was 16. Heroin back in the 90s was like vaping today. It was everywhere, and we were kids doing it. Imagine that, kids 16 years old, access to getting heroin. It was rife back then, and same thing. Hey, you want to have some snow cones? I go, yeah, all right. Sprinkle a little heroin on top of the cones we're smoking. That ventures off into, hey, let's chase the dragon. Get the rock, put it on there, roll up a 50, put it in your mouth as a straw and light it up and chase that dragon. It's a constant cycle going on. The people pleasing to be part of, saying yes to things you do not necessarily want to say yes to. The peer pressure, all the things that young kids are going through as they find their identity. Not many kids have got self-worth or boundaries in place. They're still going through their stuff to find themselves, and bang, then the heroin, like intravenous, comes out. Hey, I'll chop yous out. Yeah, we think we're going to chase the dragon again. Nah, but if I chop yous out, you've got to hit it this time. So, bang,
What
that
does
was.
chase the dragon mean, by the way?
So, chase the dragon is just a saying where you put the rock of heroin on a piece of foil. You burn the bottom of the foil, first, and then when you put the rock on there, you hit it with the lighter, and it turns into a vapor, like a dragon. And
Got
then
you.
and then you got a straw in your mouth and you chase it. That's where the saying "chase the dragon" comes from.
Yeah.
And yeah, from chasing the dragon to using it intravenously to bang, now you're selling it now. Bang, I'm 16 still.
Yeah,
I'm still
wow.
a kid.
Yeah.
So on the streets of Springvale where there's like 30, 40 dealers, and Dandenong like 20 or so dealers on the street. And I'm talking on one side of the street. I'm talking like within a kilometre or a bit more or a bit less, all fighting for competition. 16, selling to jailheads that are just getting out of jail, getting exposed to the violence because, hey, you got some little kid selling heroin on the street. You're jacked up, getting out of jail. You're a man. They just want to take it.
Yeah.
Take it off you and do some damage while they're at it. So yeah, exposed to that.
Is that what landed you in jail? Sorry, Dennis.
I guess the first couple of times, I did, I think 18 in, they called it Class A or Classification A or the old Tirana. It's the building out the front of Parkville, the older building. The Parkville Juvenile Justice, or the Juvies there in Parkville. 98 there, 99 in Malmesbury, which is another juvie joined up in Malmesbury, which back then it was if you had 12 months and over. Yeah. Or 6 months and over.
Yeah.
And yeah, just the same people, same drugs, different areas, going through all the systems from all the juvies to the adult systems. Just one community.
So with the course of this time, how many times did you end up going to jail?
4 times.
And roughly how long were each sentence?
I think first one 5 months, second one 9 months. That's the 2 juvies, and then the what do you call it? The adult system was 6 months, and then the last one was 4 with the 2. So you cop 4 years, and you do 2 on the bottom. Which, for those that don't know, 4 with the 2, 2 on the bottom is mean I have to do 2,
Yeah.
and then the other 2 I'm eligible for parole. Yeah.
So how long did you spend in on that then? You did your 2, did you?
Yeah, I did my 2, and yeah, got parole, and did my community work, went to all my appointments. So, which is fortunate for me, as in I never missed my appointments. I never had any fail to appears or anything like that. So, yeah, I was able to do my parole quite easily. But yeah, it's a struggle.
When was the last time? What age were you when you last time went to jail?
I think it was 22. Got out 22, 23.
So you were in the space of jail from what age of 18?
8 to 25.
18 to 18 to 25, did you say?
Yeah, 18 to 24, 25.
So you came out of jail last time at 25 years old.
Yeah.
Got you. So that was, yeah, okay. That was quite a long time ago. So even after that, I do want to come back to some of the journey of the jail. But so when you came out of jail from 25 and you said you stopped this lifestyle at 38, you had another 13 years on the streets without going into jail.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I had a partner wait for me for those 2 years, and I did work for a while, a good, 10 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But I was still a functioning addict,
Yeah.
using all my money on heroin, and then making more money on top, whatever way I could to support a habit. Yeah. So when I did all the way up to 2000, they quote me 2017, something like that. And then, yeah.
So we've covered the jail time. You've mentioned the word stabbing 2 or 3 times in this episode. Tell us about your journey in regards to stabbing, because you've been a part of it, but you've also received it.
Yeah, and that's I spoke about this the other day. The worst thing that happened to me was getting stabbed. And I'm not talking about because I got stabbed, because the person you become after it, you realize that you're living in the world of addiction. And especially if you're trying to selling drugs on the street or whatever, it's very fucking grimy. And that when you do get stabbed, you got 2 choices. It's either you understand that it's a jungle out there, and you don't ever want to get caught lacking, get caught off guard, or you don't carry, and then you have carry that anxiety that, because it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
Otherwise you're carrying that anxiety that it might happen in the future.
So that scenario of you being stabbed then, what situation were you in, if I can ask?
Yeah, I spoke about this on Reels. So I was down on the street, in Dandenong, and I was helping a friend that day because I didn't have any gear on me, and hey, can you help us sell? I go, yeah, all right. I'm Asian, so it's Asians had a sense of trust back then, as in not to rip you, and so yeah, I'd help him, but I wasn't carrying anything on me, and these 2 jailheads come up to me and they go, I was by the old McDonald's back then on Lonsdale Street, Dandy, and 2 of them come up to me and they both pulled out blades, one pulled one resting under my armpit, and one put one to my stomach, and said, and this is just the usual stock standard saying, kick over your gear, I'm going to put holes in you. And I just turned around and I'm bailed up. And he's going, oh, sorry. And I go, I ain't got none. And he's just said again, kick over your gear, I'm putting holes in you. I go, I ain't got none. And he went off that towards my stomach. But he was just a little like terrorizing me a little bit, you know? But it only just nicked me. And I've seen a couple of drops of blood on my shirt. And he said it one more time and goes, kick over your gear or I'll put holes in you. Or I'll fill you full of holes. He said, I ain't got none. And he did it, just put one in my upper thigh. Yeah. Upper thigh, upper inner thigh, you know. So he wasn't fucking around.
He wasn't.
And yeah, so bang, I've already got a little bit of blood just trickling down my arm, a little bit of blood trickling down my stomach. But yeah, he put one in me, and then I was very fortunate in that case because someone I knew came past, walked past, and he goes, who knew him? He goes, what the fuck are you doing? I go, don't worry, we're robbing him, and they basically said, you ain't robbing him, blah blah blah. So I was lucky in that sense. And from that day on, it's like, oh, this ain't going to happen again.
Did they
Because,
get caught?
no, they didn't get caught. And like in that game, like you don't say nothing either. And it's like, and it's nothing personal. You know, I've already had my emotions shut down from when I was a child, you know, and now I start to look everything logic. They just got out of jail. They ain't got no money. They thought I had drugs, so they'll put holes in you to get it. Anything, you know? And the worst thing is that I didn't have any. But my mate was standing 2 meters away and he had it all on him. I remember getting stabbed and looking at him, you know, because we already had a plan. We had shivs under the bins on Lonsdale Street. And if something was to happen, you're supposed to go grab it and put in work. But he didn't do it. He watched me get terrorized, get holes put in me. I did not say he's got the gear because that wasn't in my nature. Because I've already been living that life for a while now, and it's instilled in me. But yet, he watched, didn't say nothing, watched me cop it, and yeah, so it's basically, even though you're on a mission with someone or you put in work, you know, teaming up with someone for the day, it doesn't mean that they've got your back, you know,
It seems, yeah.
and that's how cutthroat it is, and that happens on the daily, you know, people turning on each other or people not backing each other. And I could look at him and go, you fucking weak cunt, or you this, you that. But actually, I'm the one that put myself in that life.
Yeah.
I got no one to blame but me. You know? That's only with reflection as well, because it's so easy to blame the other person, this, that. But if you look at the bigger picture, I put myself in that life.
Yeah.
And everything that came along with it was inevitable.
There was a couple of times that you were involved on the other side. I think that cost you going back to jail, didn't it, in one of those times as well?
Yeah. I'll speak on that one because I went to jail for it. But yeah. And here's another case. It's like, you know, you're teaming up with people. You know, you got relationships with all these people from the street or from jail, or even when they get out of jail. You know, I had a mate get out of jail, and yeah, met up with him in Springy, and basically he was just going around standing over everyone for their belongings. And I guess what, you know, standing over people, he ended up standing over this bloke that had a bit of dash about him. Stood over him, and when the guy wanted his stuff back, my mate said he's not giving it to him, and said this bloke was about to smash my mate, you know, which probably deserved, which he did deserve, but there comes that pack mentality, that loyalty, that trust, that bond, you know, all the way from what we've done in the street together, all of that. Then now that's subconsciously laying on the line, and as the bridging up and it's the fists coming over, bang, I pulled out mine and just put one in him, and that's how fast things can change. That's the mentality. That's the lack of value for another person's well-being, and that's ingrained. Yeah, that's ingrained. And now when I'm saying those words, it feels weird for me to even say it because it's now that lifestyle is like a stranger, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. Yeah.
If you put me back in it, mate, that's what you get, mate. Yeah, there is no right or wrong. It's just you're right and they're wrong.
Yeah.
So to speak.
Do you look back, if you could talk to old Dennis, what would you say to him, and at what point from the age of 14 to the age of 38? What would be that significant age, and what would you say to the old Dennis?
The old Dennis would be, you're looking to the wrong people. You know, you're looking for something that, you know, isn't real. You're looking for a brotherhood, you know, to be part of, to feel loved and, you know, to feel acknowledged, but you're looking at it in the wrong places, you know, and that the fairy tale that you sold isn't the actual way things are. You know, we look up to role models, we look up to toxicity, you know, reputation, fear, respect. But it's all perceived a different way. You know, what we look up to, what the kids aspire to today is what I did, you know, and it doesn't work out in the end. It really doesn't. And you can see it all across social media because it's always a lot of the older heads that are, you know, preaching fucking change your life, get off drugs, and, you know, all of that type of stuff. But it's because we made all the wrong decisions, and all the wrong decisions put us in a place where you did not get out to your release date. And they're the things that they don't speak about, you know, as a young kid. Yeah, fucking, my mate, he just got out of jail, or I just got out of jail. You know, like and it's like a badge of honor when you're in that life, you know, but they don't speak about all the other things that happen inside of jail. You know, it's like, and I'm not talking about the things inside of jail, but I'm talking about your family's moved on, you know, or they moved interstate, your partner's left you, your kid doesn't know you, all of those subtle things, you know, while you're kicking back with the boys in the unit, thinking these are my boys.
Yeah.
Majority of the time when you get out, everyone's got their own lives. Even the boys you did time with, they all move on.
Yeah.
You know, and then you're out here left isolated, trying to relive the fairy tale. You know, and
you learn quite a lot, obviously, in rehab, and that was obviously a pivotal point for you. The 4 times in jail, was there any ever? I mean, it sounds like there wasn't, but there might have been, because obviously life after jail was for a very long time in this life. But was there any significant learnings or something from that you could have taken from jail? I mean, I know you were emotionally attached still in jail, I'm assuming, because you went back a few times. Was there anything you took away from jail now looking back? Maybe you didn't touch on it for a while in your mind, but now as a older, you've changed, you've pulled your life together. Is there anything that you take from jail and as a learning now?
What I take from jail and the learning is that majority of the people in there do come from broken homes,
Yeah.
do fall into addiction, and their self-identity revolves around the drugs, and that's what gives them purpose. And that, I guess, we all be trying to feel part of, because I see it the same way in the jail. Everyone just got forming in their groups for the same things we did in the street, for protection, to feel part of family. Because now we cook together, we train together, we have each other's back. You know, for some people, when they're in jail, that's the closest thing to family they've got. So they have that attachment to it. That's why, say for me, during that period of my time from 18 to 25, you know, when someone gets in trouble out here, they go, oh, he went away for a holiday. You know, because I was in and out from age 18 to 25, from the juvie system to the adult system, it felt like that was my life. And then when I got paroled, that was my holiday. And then when I'd come back, bang, now you're back with family, surrogate family, so to speak, because that's when I feel like brothers, you know, because my brothers, I grew up with brothers that were 10 years older than me, had nothing in common, never kicked a fucking drop punt to each other before, you know. But with these guys, they were with me through my growth, you know, from, oh, I don't know if I want to go to the gym, to fucking, come on, mate, fucking who's buying the protein powder, you know, through that healthy stage of my life. And, you know, I took away a lot of things from jail, you know, also a lot of positive things. You see how different cultures structure themselves. I mean, like with the Asians, it is like, you know, as a sign of respect, you know, like older brother, older brother, uncle, this and that. And our community's different, where we share our things, whether it be noodles, whether it be smokes, whether it be drugs, whatever. We all put in, and that's the sense of community, and the helping of others. You do see a lot of care for people, as in, say, someone doesn't have white Bonds teas or whatever. Someone else has got money. Hey, fucking, I'll get them to send you in some, or whatever. Just these subtle little things that you wouldn't think, but it's there.
Yeah, for sure. Before we come to a close, before I come to my final questions, I've got a few things I do want to ask. On my notes here, it asked for you to share. You said you didn't mind, but if you do, it's absolutely fine. But it said about sharing the plastic fork story from jail before we come to the end. Do you mind doing that?
Yeah, nah. So the plastic fork story. So me and my mate, I think we were 19 at the time, and this was 99, and back then the culture was very racist back then still, and it was still the height of the heroin epidemic. And me and my mate were in St Kilda cells. We got pinched for, you know, some stuff, and so we got put into the St Kilda cells. And I remember it clear as day. But when you got into the St Kilda cells, there used to be a sticker above one of the doorways, and it would say the St Kilda Hilton. All right, and I remember one of the officers there said to me, "Hey, give us your belt." And he goes, "You know why?" And I go, "Yeah, I know why. Because you don't want us to neck ourselves." And he goes, "Nah, because we don't want two dead gooks in the cells." And so, bang, we're going into that racist, us against them mentality. You know, we already got that us against them mentality anyway, you know, because of who they are and who we are. But now we're going that racial tip. Now it gets a bit fucking personal, you know. So Me and my other Asian mate, we got put in the yard, and we're there by ourselves, just us two. And I remember, I think one of the nights, Drunken Disorderly was coming in. So me and my mate, we're standing in the cell door, and with having a peek on who's coming in. And I remember the police officer at the time goes, "We ain't gonna let you in with these infested cunts," because my friend had a history of tuberculosis. I didn't know too much about tuberculosis, but I don't know when he had it, but I know he had a history of it.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, that's happened. And then I walk out one morning and into the yard from our cells, and my mate's got the plastic fork, but he's snapped it. These days you go in there and you have the plastic forks or utensils, you can bend them so they touch each other. But back then you could snap it and it'll have a sharp pointy end. And this guy was how do you say it? I think it will watching video hits or something. And he was self-harming himself. And I ain't never seen it before, someone do that to themselves. And I said to him, I go, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I seen what he was doing. I go, "Mate," I was young. I go, "Let's fucking get out of here." And he goes, "What do you mean?" And I go, "This is what we'll do." And this is in the sense of, this is how I've got your back. This is what we'll do. You've got one. I've got one. So now we've got these makeshift, we'll call them shivs, because they're all sharp and pointy.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, "When we catch these jacks slipping, we're going to make our moves." And the idea was to pull them out, put it to their neck, and walk on out of there, which is a fucking stupid idea. But when you've been in the cells many times, on many occasions, there's also a time when all the crims just sit around and go, "This is what I'll do if I was going to escape. This is what I'll do if I was going to escape." And all that combined, that's how I come up with the plan. I'm 19, I'm still fucking young.
Yeah.
And anyway, so breakfast time came, and they have these little traps, where they flip them up and they push a tray of food out to you. And anyway, this young Jack comes to the door, and I'm expecting the food to come through the trap. And then this copper just opens the door and goes, "Get your food," like that. And when you're a crim, it's like we perceive that as, "Mate, he's telling me to get my food like a dog." That's how we, perceive things.
Yeah.
So I'm like, "Fuck this cunt." So I bent down. On the tray, they had 2 cups of boiling water, because they'll give you coffee and they'll give you sachets on the side. So I picked up the 2 cups of water, boiling water, and just launched it and put it in his face, maybe this far away from each eye. And in that moment, I fucking froze, right? I froze because I'm expecting, bang, throw it in the eye and then punch on. I threw it in his eyes, and this copper's just screaming and with his hand over his eyes. I'm just looking at my mate. And then I look back at the copper, and then he's running. I looked at my mate and I go, "Let's get him." So we chased him, and when I mean chased him, I'm talking like 5 meters, right? We're chasing him 5 meters from the cell door, and we just made it to the duty point. The duty point is basically a desk with a 2-way mirror at the back. And so as we got to the desk, all these jacks come from behind the 2-way mirror, launching over the desk, and I'm just copping it. I'm copping the biggest beating of my life, cop the biggest beating of my life. And then, yeah. Oh, before that, sorry. Once I threw it in his eyes and he started screaming, I'll come in with one, chinned in one, went to do a roundhouse kick, and then bang. He got me on my ass, and then bang, all these cops are just launching on me, taking off. And then as I'm stomping on this side, I'm getting a black eye this side, and I see my mate run up with his little fucking plastic shiv, run up, jumps in the air and puts one in the cop's face. And when it hit there, it went snap. It snapped in half, but blood started trickling down.
Man,
And out of all the jacks, it happened to be a lady jack. So, mate, we fucking copped it.
you
They
certainly did.
handcuffed him, threw him in the air, you know, landed on the ground. We got thrown both in different cells. So,
Yeah.
no breakfast, no lunch. Dinner comes along. Two detectives come to the cell and go, open the trap, back of the cell. I move towards the back of the cell, and then they walk in with a cup of water. And I'm thinking, fuck, they're going to burn me just like I did to one of their colleagues. And they had a takeaway container of, food. They put the cup on the slab in the cell where the bed's supposed to be. And they get my food and just slam it on the ground. Rice pops the lid open. It's gone everywhere. And they go, fucking pick it up. I go, I ain't picking it up. They go, pick it up. I go, I ain't fucking pick it up. And they said it the third time, pick it up. So I went to go and pick it up. So as I went to pick it up, I went to bend down.
Yeah.
Lifted me off my feet, landed on my back. And that's when they start to go to town on me. These are detectives. These are grown men. I'm 19, boned out, 60 kilos. And they're kicking me, laying into me. And when they'd kick me, I'd move a little bit. Kick me again, move until I couldn't move anymore. Heads, next to the Brasco or the toilet, as they say, and the wall. And that's when they started stomping me till I was unconscious.
Could have killed you.
Yeah, and then, I woke up not knowing where I was. I was banging up on the door and go, where the fuck am I? And my mate was in the next cell, and I didn't even recognize his voice. And he's trying to tell me who I am or where I was. And over time, I realized, oh, fuck.
It's damage to your brain there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Well, there's a big transformation from the Dennis that was to the Dennis that we see in front of us today. It's just, you have, like you said at the beginning, you've turned all this pain into purpose, and you've completely changed your life. Am I right in saying it was the rehab, the entry to the rehab, but also the exit to the rehab that really was the pivotal point for you then?
Yeah. I guess everything happened for a reason, and what happened in rehab and why I didn't get that working with children's check did create the path for Run That Rehab.
Yeah.
And it's a blessing, to be honest.
Absolutely.
Like the reach in the last year has been over 10 million people across all platforms, and
Beautiful.
that's something I could have never even thought about when I was doing my certificate. Hoping to work in a rehab filled with 120 people.
So what's the future then for you and for Run That Rehab?
So for me, the future for Run That Rehab is I'm out here busy, not just building a network. I'm trying to build an ecosystem where it feeds on itself. As in, say, for example, in that criminal life, if you come across stolen goods and give it to me, I know how to sell it, I know how to flip it, or I know how to swap it for something in return to make that money. And with all the networks you meet, or the people you meet, or the relations you build, you're able to do that. Turning something out of nothing. And so over the last year and a half, I've developed networks. I've met podcasters like yourself and a few others. I've met nearly everyone in the recovery scene. Not everyone, but a lot in the recovery scene between all the states, all up and down the East Coast. My networks isn't just about addiction recovery. I'm leaning into YouTubers, singers, boxers. We're talking courses. Now networking with people in the United States, and the essence is to bring Run That Rehab on a global scale, because I know that within the recovery space, which I haven't seen in any other country, I haven't seen all of the people within that space unite together. Because at the start, it was, about my area. At the start, it was lifting this city off its knees. Now it's time to raise a nation, because I believe that with all the attention, with all the networking in place from state to state and expanding on that, that's when you can actually help people, because now we can be the bridge between addiction and recovery, because what I speak about has been spoken about by millions of other people, but maybe all they lack is the connection, and that's what I can provide. Just like my friends, when they went to rehab, that provided the option for me to go to rehab. Because why? Because I had a relationship with them.
Yeah.
And they normalized it. And that's what I do.
Beautiful. Love that. And when you are doing it on a global scale, don't forget leading our own way, okay, Dennis?
No rehab, running the collab with leading our own way.
I love it. You're a rhymer, that's for sure. Okay, so if you could give anyone a big, you've given large pieces of gems throughout this episode, loads of insights for people to take away, whether they're on a similar journey to you or not, just to implement healthy skills and healthy gems into their life to change the trajectory of their life. If you could just give one powerful piece of advice now, general, that can connect to the episode today, what would you give and what would you say to people?
What I'd say is that for anyone that's wanting to lead their own way or run that rehab or to change their ways, when you do change your way and you do get your life together, the only thing you'll be asking yourself is, why didn't I do this sooner? Because recovery is possible. And it's only the actions that you put behind it that can make it happen, because words are not good enough.
Nope. That's right.
Yeah.
I've got used to saying this recently, but I feel like change really only usually occurs when pain of staying the same is greater than the pain that's making a change. Right. Anyway, so your purpose, it's very clear what your purpose is though, Dennis, but I ask every guest at the end of every episode to put their purpose into one powerful line. What would your powerful line be?
My powerful line would be this one I've got to think about.
Put you on the spot.
You did. I'm not normally... I've got many lines, it's picking him, to be honest. But
your purpose.
My purpose. If someone was to say to me, you know how when people say, hey, Dennis, if you can just change one life, that would be fucking awesome. You know what I say? I go, fuck that. I ain't here to change one life. I'm here to change thousands. And I'm very aggressive about it, because I will not stop at one, It's more about lifting the community up and bringing them together, because this is what I've learned. And I'm not getting religious or anything, but if you're talking about Jesus, you're talking about Muhammad, what did they do? They healed people, which attracted broken people to heal themselves. So all I'm trying to do is create a platform where people can come together, because when you look in my comment section, they say, when you have people in your comment section telling their stories, you're no longer speaking to people, you're moving people. And that's the momentum I keep wanting to do.
Love that. Great way to end the show. Dennis, it's been such a pleasure and honour for you coming on Leading Our Own Way. You're going to be forever stuck as part of the community of Leading Our Own Way, and it's absolutely been amazing. Thank you so much. Thank
you so much for having me, and it's been a blessing, to be honest. From where we first met to now, and everything that happened in between leading up to it. Hey, this really made my night, so thank you so much.
Pleasure, mate. It's made my night. I love it. We'll do a little bit of photo op when I cut off the recording. So stay on the line, Dennis. But mate, guys, absolute pleasure having Dennis on the show. Please go and follow his platforms. He's on Instagram. He's on TikTok. He's on Facebook, as he mentioned before. He's everywhere. Get following. Everything will be in the show notes. So go and click it right now. But for those who have tuned in, thank you for joining us. But until next week, for another amazing guest sharing their inspiring journey. Keep leading your own way. Have a great weekend. And yeah, keep leading your own way. From Dennis and myself, have a great week and have a great weekend. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Well, we're at the end, and it's always sad coming to the end because the week's almost over with my guests. But from this one though, it's from the streets to salvation. That's how I kind of like to look at it. From addiction to advocacy. These are all perfect ways of saying this story, right? From inflicting those wounds to healing them. Dennis Espiritu, I'm saying that right, Dennis? His journey proves that no matter how far you've fallen, no matter what you've done, no matter who you think you are, transformation is possible. Run That Rehab isn't just another story, Dennis's story anymore. It's becoming the story of thousands who choose to tune in, choose to go on his social media and watch his daily reels. They are the ones who refuse to let their past define their future. Through vulnerability, community, and the courage to face their demons head on, they're rewriting the script of their own lives. And I love it. If you're struggling today, if you think you're too far gone, or you think somebody's too far gone, if you believe, though, change is possible, remember Dennis. Impossible. Remember Dennis. Definitely remember Dennis. Because remember that the man who once lived by violence now lives by love. The man who once dealt in destruction now deals in hope. Your rock bottom doesn't have to be your final destination. It can be your foundation. Thank you, though, once again for joining us in this credible journey. I'm Andrew White, as you know, and this is Leading Our Own Way podcast. And remember, we all have the power to lead our own way out of darkness and into the light, if that's how you like to look at it. Keep fighting, keep believing, and keep leading your own way. Until next week, follow the show, subscribe, follow, review, and we'll see you next week. Have a great weekend and keep leading your own way, everyone. Thanks for listening and watching Leading Our Own Way. So we can stay together forever and share more incredible journeys, please subscribe to the channel. That way you won't miss next week's episode and what that amazing guest has to offer to the world. Please support Leading Our Own Way, and we'll get you on next week's episode.